Last time, on Asmiliath adventures. Waking up on their final day of travel towards a destination unknown, the party is met with the waiting Hypatia. As they wake, she reveals to them that their goal was a long-abandoned coal mine that Chieftain Kododo had transformed into a makeshift defensive position. Recruiting Decker, Hypatia scouts up the mountain towards the mine, pointing out the guarded entrance before showing Decker an eroded air shaft that would allow them to sneak in from behind. Calling forth the rest of the party, the Golden Hearts gather around the small entrance as they devise a plan to surprise the chieftain. Finally, they settle on rushing the imposing Kododo and terrifying whatever followers remained, hopefully reducing the amount of monsters they would have to defeat. With the plan in place, our warriors descend into the earth, squeezing down the winding shaft until they find themselves in the darkness of the mine. Moving slowly, scouting the heavily guarded rooms, their presence is finally revealed as a well-hidden trap is triggered by Decker. As the varied followers of Kododo begin to surround the party, Jarek chooses to disguise himself as the fallen Leonin warrior, Hormtar. Unbeknownst to him, the mutated kobold knew this warrior personally and prepared to strike him down. Before either side met with deadly steel, Hypatia steps forward to address the chieftain, alluding to a plan of luring the Golden Hearts here, but is cut off as our heroes beat her unconscious. I cannot say that word. With nothing else standing in the way, the two sides lock into combat, the darkness of the mine filling with the clamoring of death. After many of the bestial enemies lay slain on the ground, the combat is paused as the mighty chieftain Kododo lets out a wailing roar. All eyes are drawn to his crumpling form as a resonant pounding fills the large room. So Decker and Valoran, you are stood basically surrounding this large, imposing warrior as he collapses to the ground. Jarek's heat metal causing his armor to slowly sink and melt into his skin as he claws at his chest and begins screaming out, filling the small space around you with echoing cries of his pain. As you see the life slowly leaving his eyes, that little bit of intelligence that you had spotted before finally going vacant, you see the strange appendage, the leg that he had grafted onto his body that is supposedly from the ancient Dark Prince. You see it begin to pulsate, the large veins that are pressed against the skin growing more and more prominent as his body begins to shrink back towards what you imagine was his normal form, how he was built before he was empowered by this strange artifact. So as his body begins to shrink, the leg begins to swell, this harsh, loud pounding, this da-dum, 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 growing louder and louder and louder as eventually the leg seems to grow a mind of its own, flopping from one side to the other, tossing this small, withering body around as it begins to get so large that the hairs on the back of your neck begin to stand up and you get the unshakable feeling that this is something you don't want to be near. And that's where we're going to pick up. So does anyone want to do anything in this current moment?
I guess ducking back into the tunnel where Jarek is a prudent move at the moment.
Okay. Decker, how are you choosing to react?
I'm going to run forward and engage. Are we still in combat?
Not for this precise moment. There, like, combat has actually paused. Like, even, Thor and the ogre and the rest of the combat down to the south, after hearing the shout that is distinctly from Kododo, they've paused as well, like kind of looking up to the north to see what's going on. So everyone's kind of frozen right now in this moment.
Run over here and hide.
Okay. Both of you give me a dexterity saving throw. And then Jarek, is there anything specific you'd be doing during this time?
Only thing I can think of would probably be a cure wounds on my hand.
Okay. We'll pause on that for a moment.
Okay.
So, Decker and Valoran, as you are stood there with the fallen chieftain, this strange scene playing out in front of you, the immediate reaction of getting far away kind of filling your minds. You both begin to dart away. As you turn and begin to create distance, you hear this quick whoosh of air, the sound of pressure being pulled towards a particular part of the room as your ears almost begin to like pop from the quick rush. And right as you begin to turn and move away, there is an immense explosion, this loud, earth-shattering, world-shaking boom that causes, debris and rock and dust from the mine above to come down, the bones around his throne to be sent out like shrapnel, this green mist quickly filling the immediate area around where he fell before it starts shoving its way through the various offshoots of the mine. So you guys, was it a 7 and a 9?
Yeah.
Okay. You both take 11 damage, and both give me Constitution saving throws. Valorant, do you still have your thing that gives you a +5 on saving throws?
It's always on, as long as I'm conscious.
So would that have been a... Oh wait, that plus...
It adds it for me automatically, not for other people that are in it.
Gotcha. All right. So would Decker have been in your range when I asked for the throw before you moved?
If it was before we moved, then yes, he would have.
So that would have brought it up to a 14?
12. 7 plus, or 9 plus 5, yeah, 14.
Okay. So we'll take that damage off, Decker.
Okay.
We'll say you succeeded that saving throw because I forgot that his aura gave you that plus. So that just leaves James. You're doing the Constitution save, which was a 19. All right. Salvageable. Got it. Anyway, as you are fleeing from the scene, the aura that you are imbuing, helping Decker just push a little bit faster, create just enough distance that the explosion doesn't quite impact him. It certainly does like knock the air out of you, but it isn't damaging in any sort of way that you feel really could have made your day a lot worse. Valorant, as you are beginning to run through the mine towards Jarek, who is favoring his arm with a bit of the bone kind of pushed out against the skin, you feel bits of rock and debris digging into your back, this painful bruising in a few various places where it like breaks the skin, kind of covering it. And as you like let out a cry of pain, you suck in a bit of the green mist that has kind of been detonated from that area, and you feel it begin to leaching down your throat, kind of sticking to the muscles as it passes by. And relying on the aura that you have cast upon your allies, you hold true. You stand there and almost force the toxins to move down, move away, move past any sort of lingering effect that it may stick with you, as you cleanse yourself of any sort of ill effects that it might have caused. Okay, so that's both of you kind of out of the way. So Jarek, coming back to you, as you see your two companions kind of moving away from the scene, and then an immense explosion, which eventually this mist and this debris would reach you, but not actually, impact you or harm you. You just get like the tail ends of it, kind of the fringes of it. What would you be doing at this moment? As Valorant is just hoofing it towards you.
Quickly just trying to cast Cure Wounds on my broken arm.
Okay. We're going to go ahead and... Okay. Alrighty then. So, as the explosion goes off, Jarek, you're kind of... Jarek and Decker are probably the two people that can see the majority of this happening. As you are focused on your arm, and Decker, you've like crouched behind the barrel after the first kind of wave of the explosion has passed, and now it's just the lingering aftermath in the air. You look down to the combat in the south, where Thor is still desperately fighting off the individuals. Now that's like frozen almost like a painting. Kobolds behind him with their spears ready, Thor holding his sword wide, the ogre towering over him, all frozen for a small moment in time as the fallout of the explosion kind of drifts towards them. Eventually, the kobolds behind Thor, their eyes go wide, realizing what's going on, begin to skirt away into the darkness. Thor turning his attention to the ogre that's now towered over him. The ogre seems to pause, look over, more confused than anything, not seeming afraid, but just kind of unsure of what just happened. Staring off towards the green mist, he looks back down at Thor, and then just turns to kind of lumber away. I guess Thor/James, if you wanted to attack of opportunity, either of the kobolds or the ogre, you could, if you wanted to.
Yeah, let's take an attack on the ogre. Why not?
Okay.
That seems in character. I don't think I can click on his sheet, so give me a second while I
Okay.
do it the old-fashioned way.
But yeah, as that's going on, as you witness the forces that were surrounding Thor begin to kind of shift their direction, you hear a growing symphony of cries off to your west, kind of echoing down the bits of the mine shaft that you've yet to explore. And you hear various calls of gnolls and kobolds and hobgoblins, this strange dialect that you don't understand, and it begins to kind of echo away from you, growing more and more distance before it's returned with a different call, growing louder and louder. Eventually, you begin to hear off to your west, desperate running, footsteps clattering, clanging, things being tumbled over, rocks being pushed aside, and it starts growing away from you, giving you the feeling that whatever is in this cave, whatever was between you and the outside world, is now fleeing as fast as it possibly can. That's an 11. That would be a miss.
Yeah, I didn't think that hit.
Yeah. So let me, are any of you doing anything with all this, being revealed?
When the initial shockwave has passed, I want to get back to where the chieftain's body used to be.
Okay.
And see what's if anything is still sitting there after that.
Okay. So turning back around, moving back towards it, you are walking into the thicker part of this mist. And after the first inhale of it, you certainly can more or less guess that inhaling more of it might not be a good thing. And so stepping forward into it, I'm just kind of making sure you understand, would make you breathe in more of it. You are muted.
I muted myself to talk. What if I hold my breath?
Yeah, I'd be down for that. Hold it for a minute, right? That's the rough rules as far as I remember.
It's some amount of time like that, yeah.
Okay, that's fine by me. Just, making that clear. But as you hold your breath and hear the residual sounds of combat kind of fleeing and this like panicked running kind of ringing around the chamber, you shift back towards it, and it's almost hard to discern what's in front of you as the mist is creating this kind of intense fog that you have to get closer and closer to eventually see the site in which the explosion actually originated from. Looking down into a small crater, maybe about like a foot deep, there's no residue or hint or evidence of a kobold ever being attached to this leg. And the leg is now almost unrecognizable from what you had seen it as just moments before, where it had once been approximately the size of your own leg, but much more muscular and obviously glowing with green veins, which yours does not. It looks like it had been left to dry for thousands of years. The muscle tightened around the bone, the skin suctioned to it, this gray, papery kind of skin covering the entire leg. And it looks slightly deformed, like it has been left to rot for an immense amount of time. And that is the scene laid out before you.
So it looks like there are sacks with coal in them kind of nearby this area. Is that an accurate assessment?
When you guys first came into the room, a lot of the warriors that you ended up fighting were shifting around crates and boxes, barrels and bags. Just like giving it a passing glance, whether you were in combat or now, you would see that some of the boxes or crates or bags would have what you would assume to be coal, dark black rock that like kind of soot covering the majority of the container that they're in.
So I want to grab a coal sack and just dump everything out of it. Looks like right about there. Mm-hmm. And while I'm doing that, I just want to make sure that Caspian is at himself and on his feet.
I believe he's fine.
So Valoran, as he's standing there, he's dumping the coal out of the sack, and he looks at Caspian, and he actually covers his mouth with his hand and then shakes his head. And then I'm going to take the sack back to the desiccated leg, and I don't want to actually touch the leg myself. I just want to use the sack to scoop it up and get ready to get out of there.
Okay.
Is there another sack near me?
Yeah, I mean, there's a handful of sacks kind of around the room, and there's like a bigger one and a smaller one right where Valorant had just emptied one. So yeah, there's one nearby.
What's the radius of the fog? Am I in it right now?
Let me guys give you like a rough. The like large intense area is right about there, and the kind of residual part of it is probably around that area.
Okay. Then I'd like to grab a sack and hold my breath as I go through the circles and into the treasure room.
Okay. Sounds good. So Jarek, you are fixing your arm. Is that what you're doing, sir?
Yeah, go ahead and push as much of energy as I can into that wrist. 16, I believe, should fix everything up.
Yeah, so as all the commotion begins going on around you, you hear the retreating sound of combatants. You're focused in on your arm, using your energy. You just hear this sickening, like, before your bone finds its, like, right place and locks back in. This sharp bit of pain kind of signaling that you've gotten it back to where it should be, kind of flexing your fingers a little bit, realizing that you've regained control and back from being severely injured.
After weeping for a few seconds of the pain, Jarek would probably go ahead and go tie up Hypatia.
Uh-huh.
Let me see. Do I actually have the necessary things? Yeah.
I think Thor keeps a rope on him if that's absolutely necessary. But,
yeah.
Thor Jr., is there anything specific you'd be doing at this moment?
Scooping up Hypatia to carry her out.
All right. So working with Jarek to secure Hypatia?
Sure.
Hog tie, be specific. Arms, legs, back.
Okay.
Bit of it around the neck, just in case.
Gotcha. So, Decker, as you're running into this back room, as you, like, run out the other side of the fog and you're met with this, like, small cove full of treasure, it is just basically an entire floor of gold and trinkets and relics and various things. What are you aiming for? What's your action? You're just scooping everything up? You're looking for something specific? What are you doing?
Well, we're relatively out of danger for the moment, and so I don't have to just... It's not like I'm at one of those shopping sprees where I fit everything I can in 30 seconds and run, right?
Well, the gas is slowly kind of moving from that original spot and kind of filling the room. So you're not like about to die, but eventually you are going to be kind of covered with this mist.
Do I see any like anything outright expensive, like jewels or?
Yes. You want to give me an investigation check? I can kind of give you a rough idea of what your quick initial findings would be. And then Valorant, you're just scooping up the leg, and I'm assuming leaving.
My rolls are crap.
I'll keep. I'm intrigued about where this is going with Caspian, so I'm gonna stick by him. I don't want to go around the corner and then he not come out, and we're all outside. Like, where'd he go?
So are you running over there with him? Yeah, okay. Go ahead. Let's say the Valorant is assisting you, Decker. Give you another roll at that, sir. A second pair of eyes.
If I see any weapon, I will point at it. Like, ooh, check that out.
Oh my god. Alrighty. Okay. Yes.
Once Hypatia is cured, I'm gonna try this out. Just call out, where the hell did y'all go? Let's get out of here.
So, are there any weapons that we see?
There certainly would be weapons. You'd see like the hilts of sword kind of tucked into something, or maybe what looks to be like a spear kind of wrapped in some sort of tapestry or rug. Nothing that would stand out to you like immediately, but there are various kind of weapons laid out.
Any rapiers that I see?
No, it appears to be, I don't want to say more cruder weapons, but certainly weapons that are wielded with more like strength than any sort of finesse. So
I'll just start scooping at anything that looks valuable.
Okay.
Gems first and gold second.
Okay. Pick me two numbers between 1 and 4.
2 and 4.
Okay. Yeah, I guess okay, give me a what the fuck? Give me a dexterity check. Why not? Okay. More reasonable. Alrighty. So, Valorant, you step out of the gas and you're witnessing Decker. You see him kind of tuck a few weapons under his arm and you're like, nice. And then you see him begin scooping gold, jewels, emeralds, anything he can find into this dirty coal sack. Just like full arm, you know, about the end of the world. You're at a supermarket getting the last of the milk, kind of just shoving it in the bag, stuffing it full, and then turning back to you. As he turns back, the edges of your vision are beginning to get filled with this like green mist that's kind of slowly pushing its way into this area, and you feel it like tickling the sides of your mouth.
So basically just waving to Caspian, and if I'm close enough to the edge, I'll take a step out, get a breath, hold it, and then follow him back through toward the other two.
Okay. All right. Yeah. We will go over precisely what you grabbed in a bit, but scoop a bunch of stuff.
Somewhat important. Upon seeing them with treasure, Jarek would pull out the telescope and did y'all need this?
You're welcome to go back and take a look for yourself.
Okay. Could I run about there? Still be able to view into the room?
Yes, but I will not make it clear whether or not you can see through the fog with the telescope.
Alright, so I got 1 minute of breath, right?
Sure.
Rough idea? Okay.
I'm assuming Thor is dealing with Hypatia in the meantime.
Yeah, I'll go down and is she still unconscious?
She would probably be just beginning to start like coming to, but still certainly out of it and also restrained. So
my intention would be at this point that she's straight up on Thor's shoulder.
Okay. Simple enough. So yep, Jarrett, give me a quick perception check, sir. Alrighty. Running through with your breath held, telescope high, you feel your eyes begin to kind of water as you are, like the bits of the smoke kind of residually resting on the actual surface of your eyes. But you throw up the scope and you look through it, kind of darting it around this piles. You would see a small circular metal ball. And as you take the telescope down, it would appear just to be like a crude, undescript, just like simple looking, Jesus Christ, metal ball tucked into the gold and the treasure on the pile. And it glows with some sort of magical light.
And there is a little bit of fresh air in this area, right?
Yes, for now.
Okay, I'll exchange my held breath, some fresh air, grab the ball, daddle on back.
Alrighty. Yeah. So, Decker has a bag full of treasure, 2 weapons. Jarek has a ball. Valorant has the leg. Thor has Hypatia.
Yes.
Alright. So, yeah, at this point, the room would be dangerously beginning to fill with more and more of the gas. So what is the party doing?
I think it's
Back
time
the way
to-
we came.
Yeah.
That's the route we know.
Okay, so you're going back towards the air shaft? Oh, I know you.
That's what I say, unless somebody else says different.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's up to you guys.
It's tight there. Okay.
One second. Okay. So as the party is moving out of the room, stepping over the carcasses they had created, darting past the initial area that they had snuck through, right as you're about to kind of turn the corner down the dark passageway that puts you up towards the air shaft, I guess who's in the back? I guess it would be Thor, unless anyone else is like specifically taking up the rear. Does that apply to anybody?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be
Kind
in
of in a
front.
scramble at this point.
Okay, so I guess we'll wait for, we'll have Thor be in the back. Boink. Okay. But, yep. So as everybody is scrambling through, Thor, holding Hypatia over his shoulder with his arm, holding her down, just running through the area, you would hear behind you this kind of, I guess, delicate but firm clearing of a throat. It would just be a simple...
I'm not stopping for that.
Okay. Is anybody reacting to it?
I mean, I'll look over my shoulder to see if I can.
You would spot Novin, but Decker doesn't know what Novin looks like at this point, correct? He's just heard about him?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know that I got a good enough
Yeah.
description.
Jarek, are you doing anything in particular, sir?
A glance back, but I don't think I'd take a full stop unless it's earth-shattering what I see.
Well, I guess you can let Jarek decide on seeing Novin as earth-shattering or not.
Mm-hmm. Snap decision. Does he have anything metallic on him?
He seems to be dressed in rather plain traveling clothes, just at a quick glance. Certainly from this distance, nothing would stand out to you. He's not holding a weapon, he's not like wearing any sort of armor. He's just staring over at you all.
Okay, I'd probably hit him with dissonant whispers as I'm running away. Feel like
Okay.
that's not a beef I can handle right now.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I guess go ahead and, yep. What is the DC 15?
DC 15.
What is the effects if he fails?
If he fails, take 15 psychic damage and run the hell away from me.
Okay. I guess, Jarek, since you are the one turning around and concentrating on him for just a moment, you turn and you send out the spell, and you feel it launch across the room before latching on to the soul of the man. And as you feel it latch on, with success, is it half damage or no damage?
Success is half damage and does not have to.
Gotcha. Okay. As it reaches the soul on the other side, you see his one uncovered eye just wince ever so slightly, and then you see his hand raise, a singular slender finger kind of pointing out, and you see that it's pointed directly at Thor beside you. And he just goes, "Don't run, or I will kill him."
Guys,
Yeah, I'll go back. Can I go back to by Thor?
Yep. Rallin, are you shifting your direction, sir?
I wasn't sure that I even knew that he was there, given the activity that we were engaged in. But since everybody is stopping and turning around with these meaningful expressions, then I guess it's time.
I mean, you guys are running as a group, and then half the group turns around. I imagine you would be aware of that.
I called
yeah.
out.
Yeah.
So I'll stop.
So as the party is turned around and you hear just the faintest amount of activity kind of drifting from the other side of the cave, you see Novin's finger just kind of hold its position pointed at Thor, very steadily keeping it there. A few kind of murmurs going under his breath before he looks you all over, and then his eyes scan each of you individually, moving from one to the next, pausing on Hypatia for just a split second, and then rests on you, Valoran. And he kind of eyes you. You have something I need.
That's terrible news for you.
I know that you were the one that struck down my brother last time. So don't think that I have any sort of mercy for you in this current moment.
I wouldn't have anyway.
I was rather hoping that I'd be speaking to Kododo, but now that he is no longer useful, I'll be taking the leg.
I don't believe you will, sir. It's in our possession.
You have a choice, Novin. You can die, as your weak counterpart did. Or you can surrender, and maybe live.
He turns his attention down to you, Jarek, and kind of gives you this almost little smarmy smile. I am in the unique position of being able to die quite a few times, and I guarantee that if we come to blows, I will murder one of you. So unless you want to see that happen, I suggest you give me the leg, and we can move.
We can move.
I'm not going anywhere until I get what is mine.
Jarek is going to step forward. About there. Yeah. You will not be successful, Novin. Your attempts are folly. Give up now. Tordian will lay dormant until the end of time. You will not succeed.
Can I start moving down this way?
Sure. Are you trying to use stealth when doing that?
No, I'm gonna just I'll come out to about here.
Okay. As you speak, Jarek, you see Novin pause for a moment, kind of thinking over his next moves very carefully. Eventually, kind of lifts his eye back up to you. You all don't know the half of what you're involved in. And I am rather confident that if you've seen what I have seen, that you wouldn't be so selfish about keeping that leg.
You really don't have much time to explain yourself. Tell us why we're selfish. Tell us why you need the leg and we don't. Or else there really is only one recourse, sir.
He kind of looks over at you, and you see a little bit of confusion, some uncertainty in his gaze, before he lifts up and moves his eye patch away, revealing the bulbous, wide, much like a disproportionate yellow eye from his normal one. The pupil kind of flicking around before it finds you, and he stares at you with this eye for just a few moments in silence, kind of nodding along slowly, and then he just puts the eye patch back down. All right, you seem to be a man that doesn't like to waste time. I will strike a deal with you all. because the last thing I want to do is to harm anybody here. That leg is needed to bring the Dark Prince back. And if you know what is good for you, if you have any sort of sympathy in your soul for anybody that has fallen, any loved ones that have died previously, you would want to see him returned.
We'll see our loved ones in the afterlife. One way or another. There's no need to hasten it.
Snapping back to you, Jarek. You won't see your loved ones in the afterlife. You'll see them in limbo, where all the souls have been left to collect with Tordan removed from his place.
You were not the only one touched by a deity. Do not think you can intimidate us with your lies. But I would like to insight check what he just said.
Go ahead and insight check. As you do so, he would move his gaze over to Valorant again, returning to the man that holds the leg. And he looks at you, and there is a distinct expression of sincerity. There isn't this sneeriness, this holier than thou. There isn't any sort of power or anger behind the expression. It is a blank, settling, level gaze that he shoots to you. If only you knew where your honorable father was, you would think that you were a fool holding that leg for a second longer.
I can only act based on what I know. Not over these veiled insinuations that everyone in Asmiliath is constantly pelting us with. If you want this leg, offer us something.
He kind of glances behind him where you see the beginning trails of that green mist kind of working itself through the hallway behind. He turns back to you. I don't imagine you trust me very much, but I will offer you something that I think will truly resolve some of our issues. I know where the Dark Prince's head is, and that is where all of this began. And I will gladly bring you to him and show you precisely what you are fighting against.
I'm very confused, sir. You seem to want the leg so that you can bring him back, yet you insinuate we're fighting against him. Which is it?
Well, I don't think your plan is to bring the leg back to him. So, Jarek, with that insight, whether it is like the strange way he carries himself or just the simplicity of or the vagueness, I guess, of the statement, it's difficult to discern if he's lying to you or deceiving you. It's more or less just he is talking about something that you don't really comprehend. You don't really understand what he is alluding to, so it's very hard to figure out what his intentions are behind it.
One thing we know for a fact is, through your actions, many have died. You can't be trusted.
I fear we are running out of time. And I would much rather resolve this than all of us suffocate down here. You can trust me, give me the leg, and I will show you the horrors that you think are coming for you. Or you can take it with you, and I will guarantee that I get it back. After killing one of you.
Why stop at one?
Looking over at you again, and then looking back at the group. I don't know how much you know about this group, but they are rather effective, so I don't think I'd be able to kill you all.
Is it accurate to say I'm looking at 2 tents right here with like hay in them?
Yeah.
Okay. I'd like to throw some prestidigitation on them and light the hay on fire.
Okay.
Kind of. Hopefully that'll start creating smoke.
Sure. It'd take a little bit of time, but I can certainly start.
I'll make you a counter offer. We hold on to the leg for now. You can show us this proof that is so going to touch our minds. Or perhaps you kill one of us. And whichever one it is, I will attach this leg to their dead body.
You see him almost smirk at your final statement, and he kind of holds it back a little bit as he controls himself. That would certainly be an interesting chain of events.
Maybe you can stop us before that happens. Maybe you can't. If I give you my word, take this deal and we will follow you to whatever it is you want us to see.
Are you lying?
No?
Okay. From what I know about you so far, Lord Athelvane, I imagine that you are not planning on luring me in or leading me astray. I think we've reached an agreement.
Let's get out of this hole.
Let's. And then he's gonna follow you guys out. Yes, Jarek?
I want to keep a super close eye on him.
Really?
For any hint of him casting.
Okay. Go ahead and give me a perception roll.
So just for the next few minutes, however long.
Okay. So as the Golden Hearts have their small standoff, eventually coming to terms that are agreeable and escaping through the shaft that they had crawled down through, as the last of you were getting out, Novin, I guess, being the one taking up the rear, the faint green mist from the explosion begins just slightly swirling out of the hole, kind of mixing with the fresh air of the surface world as you all remove yourself from that potentially very deadly situation. Hypatia being scraped up a little bit by Thor as he was more or less like pushing her through the shaft to get back up, but you have all reached back to the surface, and you're all just, I guess, stood at the exit of the mine.
Crossbow trained on Novin, just in case.
I guess at this point, Hypatia would be waking up fully. Be around a minute. There's a lot going on. Okay. So as everybody begins to kind of size each other up, getting back to the surface out of the immediate danger of the mine. Novin certainly keeping a safe distance from you all, not turning his back to any of you as he keeps everybody within his vision. Hypatia begins to stir on Thor's back. Is her mouth covered or is she just restrained?
I was about to do something about that.
Okay. Now is the time, I guess.
Yeah, so as soon as she's starting to stir, she's a little bit of a tricksy person, so I think a quick put a sock in it moment would probably just be like, no, you can't be trusted, my dear. I'm sorry.
So right as she's like starting to stir, there's a few like her eyes open, right as she like can finally see without fuzzy vision for the first time. You just nope, and just jam the sock in her mouth as Thor just holds her in place.
Yeah, and I guess use my other spare sock to kind of tie it so she can't spit it out.
Okay.
No casting, just in case.
So Novin would watch this interaction, just kind of shake his head, and then look over at you, Valoran. This was certainly not how I saw this interaction playing out.
Well, as I've said, we are operating on... Excuse me. We're operating on almost no information, so precautions must be taken.
Well, since we don't seem to be in any immediate danger, and he kind of like looks around, and you can hear, you guys are maybe like 30 or 40 feet above the kind of fortified entrance of the mine. You hear a lot of commotion going on down there, but nothing, growing closer, kind of threatening your immediate area. He turns back to you. Ask me whatever you want then. Hopefully we can start opening a dialogue.
Sort of like kind of looking back at the crack and break hole, Valoran says, maybe we can walk and talk.
Turning over to you, Decker, as Valoran kind of put forth his statement, like, you're new to this particular group. I was not expecting you to be here.
Quite observant. It must be that large eye.
It does come in handy occasionally.
Really get to the point.
I was just trying to get an introduction, but that's all right. Let us walk and talk then. All right. So I'm guessing the party is leaving the crack and break hole at this point?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
All the kobolds and gnolls and ogres have ran somewhere. We don't need to be in the path.
So as the party leave the immediate area of where they escaped, kind of following the path they took when they first approached it, kind of steering a little bit north and then back down the slope of the mountain, back into the woodlands that you had more or less crawled through and kind of stealthed your way through the past several days. It is now kind of late in the evening at this point, taking the majority of December the 18th, all the events from this morning all the way up till now, filling out the day. So as you get back into the woods at night, and I'm imagining you all are keeping the same recommendation of not lighting any fires or setting up any sort of noticeable camps, you would reach the woodlands, and it would quickly become rather difficult to keep your course, steer the right way, moving stealthily. You are, I guess, met with a rather difficult path in front of you, for at least the night.
Seems like we should make camp.
Yeah. Where are all of our belongings at?
I mean, you'd still have anything that you brought with you, like in your backpack or whatever. All the things that were in the cart.
Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine you guys would have left them at the campsite that you were at before going to the mine.
Or well, we don't have any of our wagons. We just have our horses.
Yeah. But I guess for leaving them at a location, it would have been where you woke up this morning is where you left them. So, would that be where you want to return to?
Makes sense to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as the sun is kind of slowly dipping beneath the horizon and you're making your way towards the edge of the woodlands back to where this day originally started, Novin would then kind of turn back and address you, Valoran. Well, now we are walking. Ask me these questions you are dying to see answered.
Where to begin? Hypatia, is she working for you willingly?
As willingly as any other person, I imagine. I don't have any sort of magical hold over her, if that's what you're asking.
I was thinking more along the lines of leverage.
You see, where the trust begins to break down, sir, is quite simple. She insinuated that she was working directly for you, and she directly seemed to betray us there.
Yes, the original plan was to lead you in there, let Kododo kill you, and then Kododo would follow me.
You understand, this is not a basis for a beginning to a good working relationship. I have tried to kill very few people that I intended to do anything further with. I don't know if I'm making myself clear, but how can we ever trust you is what I'm getting at.
There really is a lot that you don't know. I imagine the statement of not being able to see it from my side won't go too far, but...
Let me ask you this. Are you trying to bring Tordan back into existence?
Yes.
And as I've come to understand, that's precisely what we are trying to fight against.
That seems to be the size of it, yes.
Yes, so naturally we find ourselves on opposing sides of this certain issue. So, again, I ask really, this is all quite surreal. We should really be fighting, I think.
I was prepared to kill one of you, but now, that seems like the less tactful approach.
Quite civilized of you, and I do appreciate that.
Why don't we sit at, your camp, and I will tell you a bit of a story.
By all means.
I imagine there's not many things around here that are more dangerous than all of us together. Perhaps a fire and some warm food wouldn't go amiss.
As much as I'd like to pat myself on the back, he points over to Valoran and the coal sack that you hold. The people down here believe that leg is the right to control them. So if anybody discovers that we are carrying that around, we'd have the entirety of this dingy place chasing us down.
Or at our command. You said it controls them.
Yeah, but you have to be part of it. You can't just hold it.
These things are always a bit selective in their interpretation.
There's some backwards thinking down here.
No, how could we possibly trust anything you say? You want to return the Dark Prince, and if I'm understanding your indication earlier, it's simply to allow him to resume his job. But there is nothing that says he won't go back to his original intention of wiping us out.
I always found you rather peculiar, Jarek. You're arguably the one with the most questionable morals, but now you stand your ground on something you do not know nearly enough about.
Yes. We don't know. Let's allow Novin to fill us in. Then at least we can move past that part of the conversation.
So, I guess you guys would more or less make your way back to the camp. Would you want to be lighting a fire or just kind of gathering around?
Valoran would discourage the fire, actually, and we can just eat cold rations.
I will gladly warm up the ration for everybody,
Okay.
except for Novin, of course.
Okay. Alright, so I guess no fire. Alrighty. So as you return back to the spot, Hypatia at this point began squirming a fair bit after the sock maneuver, but after about an hour or two of traveling, kind of gives up and just resigns to being part of Thor's decoration at this point. But as you finally get back to the camp, everything kind of settles down. Novin kind of, again, finding a position where he has line of sight on the entirety of the party and a very good visual of the campsite before him. Sits down on the, I guess where he leans against a tree, we'll say. And like looks you all over. You were all friends with Duke Braun, correct?
I was his best friend, actually. We were best of friends in the whole world.
That is very good for you, Thor. The rest of you, though, had a passing relationship.
Say it went beyond passing.
I grew up with Duke Braun. We're about the same age and certainly had the same ambitions in life, despite the differences in our birth. And I don't know how much information you were able to scrounge up. I was made aware that the Rolling Stones, the sock puppets, whatever you go by now, the Golden Hearts, were digging into various bits of Duke Braun's history and Duke Braun himself. But my mother was murdered when I was younger, when I was just a boy, almost a man. And Duke Braun, I guess as the world calls him, helped me escape. After that night, I learned quite a few things about my upbringing. One of those interesting things being the fact that my actual name should be Braun. Apparently, the benevolent rulers that were my father and mother decided that I was not the rightful heir or the correct son. So they took the bastard that my father had with a serving girl and gave him my name.
It's a remarkable piece of backstory, and I'm sorry for your misfortune, however. I guess do go on.
I'm assuming you're waiting for the part where the Dark Prince comes into play.
Actually, I'm curious. Why did they deem you unworthy of succession?
That's a great question. One that I would love to get an answer for. Maybe they just didn't like my hair. Alright, anyway. I was not particularly pleased after learning this, if you could imagine. And I started doing some rather distasteful things. And I was finding myself up in the Pruitt Empire, digging around in some darker parts of the world in hopes of seeking out some answers, or at least getting a petty amount of revenge. And that's when I stumbled upon the Dark Prince. And he showed me what was to come and what he could give me.
You do know that individuals who go by title Dark Prince,
It's not very good outlooks. Not good public perception.
yeah, they tend to lie a lot.
It is difficult to explain what can be shown to you. It's also rather foreign to describe the power that he wields and the power that I wield through him. But I've never been more sure of a right path in my life. Bringing him back and fulfilling his role in this world has become my sole purpose. And seeing as the lot of you are rather determined to not see that happen, we might have some problems, or at least need to educate one another.
You continue to insinuate that we would regret not allowing you to do this. References to my father, which everyone seems to think my family is my great weakness. And the afterlife. What is it that we are so ignorant of?
Well, before I answer your question, I would like to point out that family is everybody's weakness. And the fact that you wear it on your sleeve and display it with your colors just makes it a rather easy target. But anyway.
I prefer to think of it as a strength. Especially since my family will claim me.
Anyway. Torodan, or the Dark Prince, whatever name you want to bestow upon him, before all the tragedy happened many years ago, he was the one who led our souls from this meager plane of existence to where they are supposed to rest for the rest of their existence. Without him in place, there is no one to see that particular task through. So for the past 300 years, which isn't quite a long time for someone wandering around as just their soul, but I assure you is certainly more annoying than it seems, have been left in essentially darkness. Lots of the ones that have been there for longer than a couple years are mad, lost, tormented, twisted, because they are just trapped with no reference to go by. And this will continue to just pile up and get worse and darker and stronger and more powerful unless someone is put in place to facilitate the cleansing of these souls. So I imagine that all of you have at least somebody that has died relatively recently that you wouldn't want trapped in darkness.
But what of the consequences to the living should Tordan come back?
It seems rather unimportant when you're talking about everybody's souls.
Well, as you mentioned, from your perspective, it seems different, I'm sure. To us, it sounds like a hostage situation. Tordan does not lead souls to their existence in the beyond, but he is bent on the destruction of this world before that will even take place.
It's not refusing. He is incapable. His powers have been stripped from him.
His powers to guide souls and destroy the world.
It really does go hand in hand.
Who stripped him of these powers?
Some of you, he kind of darts his eyes over the group and then back to Decker as he answers the question, are a bit closer to the powers that stopped him than you realize. That's why I find you rather interesting. You're more than just some bumbling thorn in my side. There is a connection that you all have.
Because whoever stripped him of these powers surely knew what his role was, yet they did it anyway. Sure, they had a good reason.
We all have good reasons. I've stated mine. Who's to say that they were right and we are wrong?
Novin.
Because they were much more powerful and knowledgeable than we are. I'll give them that much.
Yes, Jarek.
If all you seek is to return Tordan to his previous post, then why not simply destroy the physical manifestation? Without this body keeping him here upon this plane, would he not return back to the divine realm or the underworld, whatever it is?
We've found it easier to refer to it as the darkness. Again, not great PR, but it's much simpler.
Then why do you seek to manifest him here within Asmiliath? Why not simply destroy his pieces? Send him back.
I don't claim to be an expert, but from what I understand, from what he's shown me and told me, you can't have one without the other.
This is all what he has shown you.
He has not lied to me yet.
How do you know?
You know of.
Because if he is anything, he is a being that gets results. And I have witnessed these things firsthand and benefited from most of it.
He gets results. You're impressed by his colossal failure when he decided to change jobs and got ripped apart for it. Those results? Are those the results you're talking?
I'm speaking from what I have seen. And I have seen lots of my life goals filled by things he's given me. I don't particularly care about the details of what happened before, except for the fact that he has requested something of me and I am bound to see it through.
What you're saying is he gave you the tools to exact your revenge, to punish Bastard Braun and his line, and now you're satisfied.
It seems to be the short of it.
Then why not simply sacrifice yourself and be done? Your goal is achieved.
Well, if you remember, I was prepared to sacrifice myself about 2 hours ago.
This form, sure.
It is very difficult to explain what I have been through. I've tried to at least give you the foundation of my actions, so hopefully that we can understand each other a bit more. But I don't think that I am getting across to you the importance of this particular task. It is not something I'm going to throw aside or lose my faith in or sabotage. It's not because I am bound or that I am twisted and manipulated by this dark prince. It's the right thing to do, and I will see it through.
What did you see in Prurid? Why you? Why not any of the tens of thousands of people in Asmiliath that must have someone they want revenge on? Revenge that Tordan could deliver.
Many before me have tried to fill the role that I fill now. A great deal of those did not make it, to put it lightly. Again, I don't lie to myself in believing that I know all of the particulars, but there is something to do with my body, my soul, my drive, whatever it may be, that got me through the nastier bits of filling this role.
Well, if being a bastard child was all it took to appease Tordan, I figure you're not that special.
I think you mistake yourself. I am not the bastard. I am the rightful Braun, but that no longer matters. The version that you cleanse from this world, it is not an easy process to duplicate oneself, and it does not happen without certain sacrifices taking place. There are many of us, and each time a new one is cast, not only are years put into making it so, but a distinct piece of us is lost every time. And the one that you murdered had lasted the longest, and had seen his goals out, and had given up on the task. But I assure you the rest of us are not so weak.
Are you all copies of the same person? If we met another of you, would he give us the same story you have?
My brothers pick up from when they were cast. We don't share the memories after the fact. They have the knowledge of leading up to their existence.
So it would remember this conversation.
It would not.
Because it's already been cast.
A lot of preparation has gone into seeing Tordan whole again. A lot more dedication and time than any of you have put into your particular crafts.
Then how many more of you do we have to kill to make this permanent?
That's the kind of question that makes me not want to answer, Jarek.
Your path is fated to failure.
From my point of view, yours is as well.
Is your
Yeah.
revenge not more complete if the false Braun, as you would attest, and Jarrell are left in the darkness? If what you say is true, then restoring Tordan will see them to eternal peace.
Well, that will certainly help me sleep better at night. I appreciate you pointing that out. But I imagine there are a lot more innocent souls in there that don't deserve that punishment, even if I would love to see Braun linger there.
What does that
How
say?
many innocent souls did you put there?
I think our body count is probably about the same.
Quality over quantity, Novan.
If my ultimate goal sees them through to where they ultimately belong, then cracking a few eggs along the way is not unreasonable.
You took an entire village. Is that a few eggs to you?
I don't seem to remember being the one that killed them, or at least from what I've heard.
No, that Novan paid with a glaive through the chest.
I imagine it won't cause you any sort of regret to know that you murdered love. That was the peace that my brother wielded for so long.
Intriguing. What piece are you?
They call me happy, but I certainly don't feel it.
Where are we going?
If I had my way, then you would hand over the leg, we would part ways with an understanding, and we can all go about our lives.
You said you had something to show us.
If you are determined to continue being a roadblock in my path, then yes, it might be more fruitful to show you what I've seen. But that would require bringing you all the way up into the Pruitt Empire, which is quite the hike.
You're talking about where the Great Entrance occurred.
It is rather close to that, yes. Well, as patient as I am, I'd rather know sooner than later if we're gonna start murdering each other.
Jack will give Valorant a bit of a raised eyebrow there.
Give us a moment, won't you?
Don't go running off. And he turns around to walk a fair distance away.
Mag your telescope to make sure there's no listening magic in the area.
Yeah, nothing that would stand out to you now.
Okay. In a whispered voice. So should we just kill him now, or because if they're based off of emotions, he's got 7 incarnations?
I think he can make good on his threat to kill at least one of us. And that would still leave whatever other incarnations there are. On the other hand, following him all the way to Pruitt leaves these other incarnations free to look for the other pieces that we aren't.
Just can't get past that he's diametrically opposed to everything we seem to be striving for. And in what world is it a good idea to bring Tordan back?
I mean, I'm not sure the gods so lazy to not fulfill a basic role. But if that is true, and all the dead souls are just stagnating.
I mean, that's quite a story he told us, but
We need a source other than
yes, I mean, he could have told us anything.
Tordan could have told him anything.
Precisely.
Can we kill him? Are y'all up for the task? I mean, that last few hours took a lot out of me. Looking over at Thor, he looks pretty bad off, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Thor can take too much either.
Something tells me that this Novan incarnation is not going to watch us prepare for an ambush. I think the question is this: do we want to follow him to Pruitt or not?
Particularly.
Can we trust him on the road?
Not particularly.
And let's not forget, and he'll kind of gesture in the general direction of Hypatia, who I assume is just kind of
Scowling at
bound
you.
and laying on the ground.
Yes.
That it's not beyond belief that he would free her, if only to cause a distraction.
I'm gonna take a chance here and cast Zone of Truth over
Okay.
Hypatia.
Okay. What are
And
the exact details of it?
It's a 15-foot radius sphere centered on a point of my choice until the spell ends, which it lasts for 10 minutes. Creatures in that area have to make a charisma saving throw, DC 16. On a failed save, they cannot lie while in the zone.
Okay.
And I do know whether or not they make the save.
Well, If that's what you do, excuse me, she fails.
All right. So, Valoran moves to Hypatia, and his left hand with his Order's Charm, he holds it out, and there's a yellow glimmer in the area around her. And he says, "You shall speak no falsehoods in my presence." And then with that same hand, he rips the socks from her head.
Okay. She just kind of gives you a rather aggressive stare.
There's no need to threaten you. Everything I have said has come to pass. You didn't make it out of the hole without us. And playing coy did not keep you safe from us. It very nearly killed you.
Last time I checked the
will-
scoreboard, I'm still alive.
I will have the truth from you. You heard everything Novin said. Do you know that to be the truth? At least as he understands it?
He believes it. I have no proof myself.
Why are you working for him?
Man, this is one of those questions where, like, does she know? I've spent my life working for money and simply staying alive. It's nice for once to work towards something or work for something that means something.
So you're a believer in this tale of Tordan and lost souls, and rescuing them by restoring him to Asmiliath.
I level it out like this. The world is pretty fucking shit the way it is. So why not try something else?
You understand that whether or not there are souls lost in darkness, Tordan will try to destroy the world. It won't be any less fucking shit then.
My hope is that past this there is something better. I think my time here has reached its end.
What would you do if we released you?
I would kill Jarek.
That hurts.
That is the point.
And what will Novin do on this field trip into Druid?
He can be deceptive. It's a tactic he uses quite often. But he doesn't joke or kid or mislead about what he truly does believe.
How many Tordan pieces does he have?
I am aware that he has the head and an arm.
How does he find them?
I imagine through various means. The one we've tracked here, he found people, asked around, sent me, had me inquire in certain ways until we found its location, and here we are.
Other questions? Valoran says, looking around the group. Quickly.
Why should we not kill you?
I'm funny sometimes, I don't know. Probably should.
Do you plan on betraying us again?
I would be amazed if I was put in that situation to betray you a second time.
You plan on seeking revenge for trying to betray us, failing, almost dying, but yet living because we allowed you to.
Can I hurt Jarek before I leave?
With your words only, my dear. Trust me, it'll leave a longer mark. He can heal physical wounds, but you say the right thing, he'll carry that with him the rest of his life.
Give me a persuasion check.
Oh my god.
Also very insightful of Caspian to already know that.
What did we get? Oh, Jesus
Yay.
Christ. Okay. Jarek.
What?
In the very short time that I've known you, and all of the various acts I've seen you carry out, I have never met such a despicable hypocrite in my entire life. And I have spent my entire life working with the worst kind of people. The fact that you are still alive and people call you friend is a mockery to any honorable man on this earth. Okay, I'm good now.
I mean, that was a solid effort. With practice, you could do better, my dear.
You know, I was knocked unconscious and then stuffed with a sock and dragged through the woods.
You know, you don't have to give her pointers on how to hurt my feelings. Thank you, young man.
I'm going
I'm
going to do exactly what you did with me and ignore the instruction and advice you just gave me, Jarek. Really, go ahead, my dear.
The other Novan incarnations are hunting for the other pieces as we speak. Yes?
That would be my assumption, yes.
As far as you know, what is the one thing that Novan does not want us to know?
Ooh, fuck.
And that'll be my last question that I can think of. The rest of the group, get them in while you can.
Who do you find most attractive in this group?
Well, at least that's a much easier question. It's certainly you, Deca. You're rather dashing, if a bit cocky.
That's quite the compliment. Both of them, really. I'm done.
Jarek, you're ugly as shit.
She's telling the truth, Jarek.
Yeah, I understand that.
Thematically, Hypatia is picking her brain right now.
I'm looking at the spell here. I should, in order to be sporting, I should let you know that she's not compelled to answer, but she is compelled to tell the truth.
I'm pretty okay with what we got going on right now.
We could layer other spells on top, like command her to answer and all this other stuff, but...
Yeah.
I mean, I can try something if necessary. Where is the next piece? What are the other pieces?
Well, you have to give Novan credit. He keeps that rather separated. I don't know where the other Novans are. All I know is this is my contact and this is my goal.
Anything else from Hypatia?
Yeah. To answer your question, Valorant, from a long time ago. I imagine something he would not like to reveal, and I'm not 100% certain of myself, but I have gotten hints towards. His copies don't have a lot of staying power. Or at least they don't seem to stay all pieced together forever.
This is my proposal, gentlemen. If we follow through on the deal of following Novin into Prurid, then we give his copies time to find the other pieces. And then, more than likely, walk into an ambush.
Or
Give him the leg. Be rid of him for now. Face him again when we have other pieces. When we are at full strength, greater strength. We didn't know this leg was here anyway. We've lost nothing.
You're welcome.
yes, if we don't give him the leg, he will attempt to take it back this evening, I'm quite certain.
Can we not agree to go with him and just attack him on the road?
I doubt it, to put it simply. Unless you want to try to get a full 8 hours sleep next to the yellow-eyed man.
No, I don't.
It takes all of the pieces to bring Tordan back, correct? I mean, it's a rhetorical question, but assuming that's the case, give him the leg. We go in our own separate way, find another piece, and we can keep that secured from him if that's even possible.
Could we, maybe hack a piece off of our leg and, stash it in a backpack and give him what's remaining?
I'm sure
I
we're
mean-
being watched even now. And that he's intimately familiar with what the whole leg looks like. Especially if he has a direct line to the Dark Prince.
Ah, well, it was a thought. Then I
We're in
suppose
agreement then.
Yes, I mean, it seems the quickest way to extract ourselves from this situation. And the quickest way back to a warm bed, hot meal, a bit of comfort.
may the gods help us.
Well, they have. They banished Tordan once.
Hypatia, did you have anything to do with the attack at Braun's funeral?
Yes.
What?
I made sure everyone ended up where they needed to be.
Right. Well. Anything else, gentlemen?
No, this has been very strange.
Jarek will just gag Hypatia again.
I go out and pull it out.
No, what?
Probably not necessary, Jarek.
He's gonna try and kill us. At least
He's gonna
me.
try and kill you.
Yeah, no, that's...
It won't be with her mouth.
Well, then if there's nothing else, we can get this over with. Going once, going twice.
Man, Thor's been real quiet today. So, are you calling Novin back?
I think so.
Okay. So, I imagine this would take the, duration of, Zone of Truth, roughly, the whole conversation back and forth, all that fun stuff.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think we've actually used it in real time.
Yeah. So, Novin, after I guess one of you calls for him, however you want to thematically make that happen, would come back from the woods, kind of looking all around. Well, are we murdering or are we talking?
Valoran gives the group each in turn one last look, and then very unceremoniously just tosses the sack on the ground between them.
He looks a little surprised, looks down at the sack, kind of takes a moment to look over everything again, almost checking to see if this is some sort of trap, and then reaches down and kind of grabs the bag, lifting it up, slowly revealing it to him, and he just stares down at it for a long moment, a few solid seconds pass of silence. He just kind of puts it back in the sack. You have surprised me yet again.
We will meet again.
I imagine
Until
we
then.
will.
Until then, be gone from us.
Well, before I leave on that lovely note, Valoran, there is something that I am rather curious about.
I'm listening.
Have you come into possession of a particular eye?
We've been tripping over magical objects for the last year. It doesn't ring a bell.
All right. Not that I really care, but are you murdering her? And he points to Hypatia.
She's coming with us. I imagine you don't really care.
She served her purpose, more or less, and I imagine if she wants to come back, she will find her way.
What were you going to give her in exchange for her services to you, which, I mean, to be fair, she fulfilled?
I don't know if you're familiar for fighting for something because of the cause of it and not for gifts or money or wealth.
Oh, how noble of you. No, I've never heard of the concept.
Golden Hearts, it's been interesting.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. And then he turns to walk off.